Fellow Americans, I want to speak to you tonight about the troubling events of the past week.
I'm going to pull the whole thing down. I'm going to bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's going to be biblical.
How's it going, everybody? FCB here. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing fantastic, and I hope you're all in amazing spirits. Welcome to the Pulse here on the Freedom Channel broadcast. Yes, lots going on, and that is an understatement right there. Now, as you all know, the proverbial list made its entrance, didn't it? It was like, no, now you got the list. Now, can you all please be quiet? Now, the fact is this, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Pamela Bondi is gaslighting everybody. That's what she's doing. Let's have a look at this. Reminder, this is the facts. Reminder, guess who was Florida's Attorney General? And remember, Epstein had his mansion in Florida, Palm Beach. Reminder, guess who was Florida's Attorney General? It was her from 2011 to 2019. While Epstein was running his sex ring. Yes, and basically she's still useless. She was the Attorney General, right? And now she started to gaslight us with this other list. Now, this list, ladies and gentlemen, contains over 300 names. Now, the names are ridiculous. Now, let me tell you something. We had all these conservative influences, and it's not about the left and right. Let's get this right, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about the left and right at all. It's about the facts, evidence, and receipts. It's about the truth. However, these conservative influences have been going around just like cat shit. Okay, don't worry, we'll get to cat shit a bit, good old cat turd, because that one right there has put his foot in his mouth, or his paw in his mouth way too many times. Now, Thomas Massey has been named over and over, like they said in the Epstein files. Really? Okay. Do you know that it names in the files anyone that has worked on the Epstein files? So, for example, Thomas Massey has been working on the Epstein files, as have others. And because of that, because he's been trying to release it, his name is in those files. Now, these names that have been listed is basically those that have worked on the files, and there's some other ridiculous names. And this is what it's been done for a reason. Right? So, in other words, we've got to look at the context of these names. Say, Macy, we know Macy has been working on the files. Therefore, the context suggests that's what the context is, and that's what it means. Now, we've got good old cat shit going out there bagging Macy, saying all these nasty things, saying that, he's on the file, see? Yeah, but CatSh1t didn't realise that he was on the files as well. That was, how stupid that idiot is. Okay, so there we go. Good old CatSh1t. Okay, opens his fat mouth and he says, any of you in the Epstein files like Thomas Macy or Massey? I'm not. How about you? No, he got owned, ladies and gentlemen. CatTurd got owned. Now, have a look at this. So on the list, Massey is named because he was working on the files. That's the context. Then you got here, look at this. Facts, CatSh1t in the Epstein files, okay, is also mentioned. So in other words, he's saying here, I'm not. But then Grok comes in and says, the author of the post, CatTurd, is in fact mentioned in the Epstein files. He got owned. He got owned good and proper, and he should learn to shut the fuck up. Really, pardon my French, but he should learn to shut the fuck up because he keeps putting his foot or his paw in his mouth. Okay? And there we go. Look at there he is. He's mentioned there. There we go. This is the file number. I got the original file. Don't you worry, ladies and gentlemen. Me, I'm always on top of things. Ex-user, CatTurd. Oh, yeah, and by the way, right next to him, who do we have? Laura Loomer. She's mentioned as well, just like Massey is. There we go, CatTurd. Yes, that's the thing. So in other words, right? He got rolled. He literally got rolled. No. Let me introduce you to the character known as CatTurd. All right, this guy right here. This one. This is the avatar, if you will. So you got the CatTurd, which is this clown, right? This one right here, and then you got him, this guy here. Don't you worry. They've been going out there and owning CatTurd, literally been owning him. Okay, now you don't go out there and make statements without paying attention to detail. He's like throwing stones in a glass house, right? So getting back to what I'm saying, these conservative influencers, and it's like I said, it's not about the left or right, it's about the facts, have been going around saying nasty things about Massey, that he's in the Epstein files and the list, and lo and behold, we've got Mr. CatTurd in there that opened his fat mouth, right? Now, what has this been done for? This has obviously been done deliberately. It's been done deliberately. So basically, it's creating confusion, and they want to mix in innocent names with the guilty. Do you see what I mean? And then it's discrediting that list. This is what's happening right now. Now, another thing is with CatSh1t, okay, it's not the first time. He's done it quite a few times. Let me show you something. Let me show you that this idiot doesn't pay attention to detail. For example, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at this. On X, what is the correct answer? Right? Everyone gets this wrong. It'll make sense in a moment. Now, everyone gets this wrong. 666 number one, we know is not a very good number, right? To begin with. But anyone that knows mathematics will know that you got here 6, but you got the plus. What people do is they think that this is a times. And then, therefore, if it's 6 times 6 times 6 times 0, it equals 0 if it's a times. The thing is, people don't pay attention. Just like cat shit, right? So cat shit opened his mouth and decided he doesn't pay attention to detail, doesn't pay attention to his surroundings, doesn't pay attention to facts. This is another point. And you got owned again. So 6 plus 6 times 0 6 plus 6 times 6 times 0, the answer is 6. If that had been a times, it would be a 0. But cat shit, ladies and gentlemen, opens his fat mouth again and he gets it wrong. Because this is the point. The point of this is that cat shit does not focus on his surroundings. Cat 2 does not focus on his, on attention to detail. Cat shit does not pay attention to facts. And this is another one. And he gets owned here again. Like I'm going to go off at Macy, blah, blah, blah. The gloves are off. But he doesn't realize that he wouldn't have this. He wouldn't be able to read the emails regarding Jeffrey Epstein if it wasn't for Macy. So once again, he's a flip-flopper as well. By the way, I stand with Stephen Bannon. I stand with Stephen Bannon. I've always been neutral on Stephen Bannon. Yeah, no, he's pretty much an idiot. He doesn't pay attention to detail, to the facts, and then also he goes out there and says, I'm not on the Epstein files, right? I'm not on, how about you? Goes and throws stones in a glass house, and yet he gets owned. He gets owned by Grok. That's unbelievable. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, you got to pay attention to details. Don't be like cat shit. He didn't pay attention to detail because what cat shit assumed was that was a times. That's what he assumed. The whole equation there is 6 plus. He assumed it was a times. I knew straight away it was a plus because I always pay attention to detail. He doesn't. 6 plus 6, right, times 0 times, 6 plus 6, that equals 12 actually. No, you're right. 6 plus 6 equals 12. Times 6 times 0. Let's do the maths, guys. Let's do this. You know what? I'm having some fun here. Are you ready? 6 plus 6, right, equals 12. And then you got times 6 times 0. That's interesting. Hold on. He said you got the 6 plus. So you got the 6 plus. Then 6 plus 6, 12. It depends on how you take the equation, isn't it? It really is. It really is. So if that was a times, that would be 6 times 6 times 6 times 0, which equals 0. So it depends how you take the equation. If that's a positive 6, right, and then you separate this equation, then it will equal positive 6. Very interesting. But the point is, pay attention to detail. He automatically assumed it was going to be a 0 because he assumed that this was a times. That's my point. So, getting back to it, let's get back to the list. The list is, like I said, it was a distraction. It was done by design in the sense of to appease people, but also to ridicule the list, to discredit it, and it was a 6-page document. So let's go through the first page here. So this is the first page of the document. It was from the U.S. Department of Justice. It's all legit. And it just goes on. And here it starts. So we got Julian Assange. He got all these names. George W. Bush, Anthony Blinken, Leon Black. Okay, we could say yes. But then when you get to certain names, such as, I'll find it in a moment, there's some names which are very questionable, like Janis Joplin. What does Janis Joplin has to do with anything to do with being on the Epstein files? Is it something that he used to listen to? Then you got Elvis Presley that's mentioned, right? We know Oz Mehmet or Dr. Oz has been mentioned. But the question is you got innocent people. Oh yeah, there it is, Elvis Presley, right there. That is mentioned on these Epstein files. So they've got the innocent mixed with the guilty, and it's discrediting that list. Do you see what I mean? That's the thing. How are you supposed to take anything seriously? People are being gaslit. Oh yes, they're being gaslit. For example, Kash Patel is gaslighting. I've prepared a little video of Kash Patel, and realistically speaking, he should be at least charged for perjury for what he's been doing. Anyway, let's have a look at this video.
You familiar with a Stu Peters? Does that name ring a bell?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you familiar with Mr. Stu Peters?
Not off the top of my head.
He made 8 separate appearances on his podcast.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Stu. Always love coming on your show.
Kash Patel, thank you so much for making the time to be here with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Stu. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Stu. Appreciate it. See you soon.
I gotta go, Kash. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks,
up
Stu.
against a hard break here. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Stu.
Kash Patel, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Stu. Appreciate it.
I thought you weren't on the Stu Peters show, Kash. Are you kidding me? That's perjury. I mean, he's committed perjury. Come on, guys. And this is what I'm saying. What it's this all about? Is it discrediting the FBI? Is it showing the corruption? Is the future proves past? Because in the past they were corrupt as well, and in the past I'm sure they were gaslighting as they are today. But it's been made more and more obvious. The other thing that we've been gaslit about is the, shall we say, Jesse Waters. I've got a little clip here of Jesse Waters downplaying Epstein. So this is the conservative media, or the media, are downplaying what's going on with Epstein. Oh, are we still on this? Oh, boring. You've heard what Laura Loomer has said. You've heard what all these other conservative influencers have said. Can we move on? Why? They're trying to gaslight people. They're trying to downplay Epstein because they are tied to this. In one way, shape or form, they're tied to this. Anyway, let's have a look at this video.
It's like he's mostly just a fixer, a guy who advises. He helps people with their problems. Sometimes those problems are, you need a girl. Or
some penicillin.
Or some, if you need it, he's got it. He's a sex rabbi. He should perform at the halftime show next year.
Yes. Well, that won't be happening.
Yep.
It happened at a jail.
Hanging from a noose.
Do you see how these Fox right side, I don't like making about the right and left, but these presenters, like Jesse Waters, they're sitting there making a joke about it. There's nothing to laugh about, Jesse, at all. Even Mr. Gutfield and the gang there made it into a joke. They're trying to gaslight us, and we're not taking it anymore. They're trying to downplay everything. And they're using their media assets to do it. Now, let me tell you something. People have had enough. And it's not about the left and right. Like I said, it ain't about the left and right anymore. And just recently, I think it was in Wisconsin, they did this to a GOP, what do you call it? It's like a, no, I'll bring up that information in a moment. Just give me a quick sec, guys. Where are you? There's a lot to get through. It should be here somewhere, guys. Okay. I've done a decode on this. Here we go. The headquarters in Wisconsin. That's what I wanted to say. That's the headquarters in Wisconsin of the Republican Party. Have a look at this. What they've put out there. They sprayed it right on the windows. This is actually real. This actually did happen. So this is in, I think it's pronounced Eau Claire County in Wisconsin. Happy Valentine's Day, the 14th of February. There you go. Let's spray it all over the windows. So apparently they're offering $1,000 reward for the information leading to the arrest of the prosecution of who committed this act of vandalism. What about the act of pedophilia? What about that one? They're okay about, shall we say, protecting the pedophiles, aren't they? Just like good old Pamela Blondie there. And you know that under her watch, when she was the Attorney General in Florida, it all happened under her face, right there. Okay? Now, let's watch this video. I've got a video here of what happened there in Wisconsin. What is your thoughts on that? Are people justified to be able to go there and spray that on their headquarters? Are they justified? I would say, in my opinion, okay, right, there's a way of doing things peacefully, whatever. But you know what? People are fed up. People are angry. There's no justice. There's no accountability. And obviously, there are people now that they're angry, and in their moment of their anger, they do things like this. Let's watch this video.
Of the Republican Party of Eau Claire County was vandalized last night. According to Chairman Fred Kappas, individuals spray painted the front of the building and threw eggs at the walls. In a statement, Kappas condemned the action of those involved, saying in part, quote, "While we live in a time of great political division, vandalism or violence has no place in our community," end quote. The RPECC is offering a $1,000 reward for any information.
There you go. So what do you think? Do you think they were justified in doing that? Well, let's go and do a little bit of a decode. The GOP on their X decided to put this, and then I retorted, our fathers trusted in you. They always quoting scripture. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give them some scripture as well, so they can include in their rotation. Our fathers trusted in you, they trusted and you delivered them. They cried to you and were delivered. They trusted in you and were not ashamed, right? So they go around quoting scripture, the GOP. And I said, why don't you add this one to your rotation of scripture about this? But whoso shall offend one of those little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his head and his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. That's talking about harming children. And then I thought to myself, this all makes sense. GOP. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Q drop 4904, add those numbers up, gives us 17, which equals Q. We're watching what's been played in Theatre 4. GOP, ladies and gentlemen, stands for the guardian of the pedophiles. Q new. Let's go to the Q drops. We are watching this movie. Q drop 4904. Add those numbers up, equals 17, equals Q. All three movies playing simultaneously. We are watching Panic in DC. We are seeing the guardians of the pedophiles, the GOP. You're seeing it happen. Do you find it interesting that everything discussed in the past is somehow making news as of late? Q. There we go. Guardian of P. G-O-P. And because of that, we are watching Panic in DC. And then we've been bombarded with, you've been seeing what's going on about also Obama and Hillary and all that. They're making ways into the news cycle as well. So you would say that these three movies seem to be playing at the same time. This is not about left and right, as Q has said many times. This is not about left and right. This is about preserving our way of life, as Q says in this Q drop, 4942. It's clearly said there. This is not about Republicans versus Democrats. This is not about right versus left or left versus right. This is about preserving our way of life. If America falls, the world falls. Now that has a duality, has a meaning. In other words, America has its Second Amendment. Okay, which basically, if America falls, the rest of the world falls with it. But also, the meaning is once it happens in America, because the dominoes are dominant, are hitting from over there first, it's going to domino right across the world. What are you seeing right now? Epstein is over in the United States. Epstein, the whole business in the United States. And now it's having implications worldwide. So you're seeing that it starts off in America, it's been starting off in America, and now it's domino across the world. So the America falls, so does the rest of the world. It has a duality. Yes, Carol, that's a good one too. Theatre 4, 5, and 6 equals 15. Yes. Very interesting. We all know what Q drop 15, 11.3 marker. So you can't call it a coincidence. You just can't. After all, they've been going out there and they've been called pedophile protectors. So it only makes logical sense, doesn't it? Another interesting thing, which I find quite odd, to be quite honest. Now, everyone's focusing on the island, but no one's focusing on the Zoro Ranch. A lot of filth took place on the Zoro Ranch in Texas that Epstein owned. It was one of his other properties. The thing is, who are the new owners? Who are the new owners of the Zoro Ranch? Let's have a look, shall we? So this is the sale, and of the Zoro Ranch, and it's changed its name to now the San Rafael Ranch. Question is, who owns it now? This gentleman here. Have a look. Don Hafeens is a successful businessman, fifth generation Texan, and a Trump Republican. What people are coming out and saying, and I'm not saying it's factual, but I'm just looking at what people are saying out there, is that this man took over the ranch deliberately by design to try and get rid of the evidence. That's what's being said out there. Now, this man is the one that bought the ranch. His son, Russell Hafeens, is the White House Office of Cabinet Affairs from June 2025, Associate Director of Agency Outreach. So they're connected to the government, connected to the Trump administration. So you can see why people are drawing all these kind of conclusions. So what are people thinking right now? Have we backed the wrong horse? There's a lot of weirdness, a lot of, shall we say, uncertainty. You're seeing how you've been gaslit by Kash Patel, by Pamela Bondi, by Lutnick. And then it doesn't give you the vote of confidence, and especially to people, that when they see this, when they hear RFK Jr. goes out there and he said that he snorted cocaine on a toilet seat on a podcast. It really doesn't give you a vote of confidence at all, to be quite honest. People are really angry and upset. This is not what they wanted. This is not what they voted for, they say. Is it awakening people? Is it uniting the left and right? Yes, you could see it. When President Trump said he'll take the slings and arrows, he's taking them, all right. Don't you worry about that one. Left, right, and center. But people don't have the vote of confidence when they see this, that he snorted cocaine off toilet seats, went onto a podcast and admitted it. Let's have a look at the video.
For me, I said this when we came in, and I said, I don't care what happens, I'm going to a meeting every day.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not scared of a germ. I used to snort cocaine off of toilet seats. And I know this disease will kill me.
Right.
Like if I don't treat it, which means going to meetings every day, it's just bad for my life.
It doesn't give anyone the vote of confidence that RFK Jr. is running the show to do with health, and it's not just the left, ladies and gentlemen, it's the right. They're both angry. The other thing that has come out to light, ladies and gentlemen, which is not good for the administration, you all know Mike Lindell. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there, they love Mike Lindell, all that sort of stuff. And when I do something, I make sure I thoroughly investigate something. That means going into documents and finding out the truth. Now, there are people out there that think highly of Mr. Lindell. For example, we got here on X, American Tempest says, someone pulled the knife out of my back. And he's talking about Bannon. Bannon's War Room was my go-to podcast. I just can't do it anymore. I suspect something was up, especially when Posobiec turned up on Fox with Erica Kirk. Then TP USA commercials were running on the War Room. What about Mike Lindell? Now, when I hit show more on him, it was like, oh, please let him be, not like them. I'm sorry, American Tempest, but the news that I've got to show people ain't that very good. You know that Mike Lindell wrote a book called What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO Mike Lindell, about his history. A book. I think it roughly sells around retail $19 or something. The thing is, you also know that Mike Lindell is going out there to become governor of Minnesota. So he's going out there trying to campaign for that. When I started to see this, I said, you know what? I need to look into this because, the Daily Beast, it's heavy left. But you know what? You need to look at things and you need to see, is it factual? It says here, deranged Trump ally blows half his campaign cash on own book. In other words, Mike Lindell, he raised, I think it was through donations, through people that trusted him. He raised $356,000, and then it says here that he spent $187,000 of those funds in buying his own books. Now we know there was a spike. When you do that, that reflects, people say, well, all of a sudden he had a huge spike in his book sales. And you know that book sales, or books as Q says, or book deals, are a way of pushing money from point A to point B. His excuse was this, that he wanted to use those books so when he goes and campaigns, he can give them away for free. Are you going to spend that kind of money to purchase your own books and then give them away for free? The warning bells are all written all over this. So, like I said, I needed to investigate a little bit more. So I went into, let's go here, this newspaper here, which is, obviously a local newspaper in Minnesota, and it confirms it. Mike Lindell's campaign spent nearly $190,000 on his own memoirs, on his own book. Mike Lindell's memoirs, What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO, has enjoyed a surge in sales since he announced a run for governor late last year. Who's buying the book? Which details his addictions and his rise to fame. Now, why would you got a certain amount of money that has been entrusted to you, donated to you, and then you go and buy your books? so they can get to know you better? It's ridiculous. So Lindell launched his campaign for Minnesota governor on December the 11th, 2025, and in about 2.5 weeks, raised $352,000 in individual donations. I've got all the documents, ladies and gentlemen. I've got all the documents. When I say I've got the documents, I've got them. In December, the Lindell campaign bought nearly $190,000 worth of Lindell's autobiography from My Pillow, that book, right, the particular book. He put it under the expense known as Mike Lindell's books. So it says here that My Pillow CEO said he isn't sure how many copies of his book he's given away. So he hasn't given specific numbers. He hasn't given specific numbers. Now, like I said, it's unclear if the campaign paid the full price, $19.97, or they received a $10 discount. Right? So the point of the matter is this. We go to the Q drops. We'll get back to this. I'll show you the financials. Q tells us that they use book deals as ways of putting money from point A to point B. Have a look at this. Book deals can be lucrative in Q drop 4886. How do you get, well, you think about it, donations. How do you get donations from point A to point B? Disguised under book deals. Q talks about it. Now, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm showing you is the facts, evidence, and receipts. What you take away is what you want to take away from it. I'm just the messenger. Okay? I'm just the messenger. The facts are this. Let me just give you a real quick fact. President Trump, during the time, remember when Mike Lindell was taking Smartmatic Dominion to court, he was doing it on money that was raised. Now, he was apparently going out there to try and expose the voter fraud or the election fraud. My question is this. Why didn't President Trump, because this is to do with the country, exposing election fraud? Now, President Trump has run all sorts of fundraisers for people to raise quite a substantial amount of money. Why didn't President Trump run something for Mike Lindell if he truly believed in what his works were honourable? Think about it. In Mar-a-Lago, do a fundraiser to raise money to assist him in his plight against election fraud and his battle against Smartmatic and Dominion. Think about it. So, this is what I'm saying. We could sit there and dispute the facts, evidence and receipts, dispute logic, try to make it about the left and right, because I know there's people here that make it about the left or the right. How about you stop making it about the left and right? Realize that this is not about Republicans or Democrats. This is about, as Q says, preserving our way of life. Now, the financials don't lie. You can sit there and dispute the newspapers that they're left-leaning or they're right-leaning or leaning here or leaning there, but the facts, evidence, and receipts say otherwise. This is what I got, ladies and gentlemen, from the documents. This is from Mike Lindell, his expenditure. It's right there, ladies and gentlemen, in black and white. My Pillow. So this was to do with his campaign. He spent $187,037.87 in purchasing those books. It's right there in black and white. Right there in front of your face. You can't dispute that. Anyone that thinks they can sit there and dispute that, good luck. You want to continue believing whatever you want to believe, that's your choice. But people that want to try and gaslight others, you're not welcome here. Just because your affiliation happens to be on the right or the left or whatever it is, I don't care if it's, wherever it is, the facts, evidence, and receipts are all here. That's the real document. You're looking at the real document. Let's scroll right down. These are all donations, ladies and gentlemen. All donations in kind. Look at that, donations. People that trusted Mr. Mike Lindell. Just because somebody wears a cross around their neck, just like did you trust Pamela Bondi? She wears a cross all the time. Does it make her a good Christian? Does it make an ex-murderer just because they're Christian? Does it make them good? No, it doesn't. It doesn't make them good at all, does it? There we go. It's right there in black and white, ladies and gentlemen. I'm showing you the original document that has been downloaded from the government website that shows you here in black and white what has been confirmed. So we could sit there, like I said, and dispute the facts that, no, it's a left-leaning paper. Like Lucat said, it's a left-leaning paper. It's very liberal. Are you sure the news is accurate? Sorry, Lucat, but the news is accurate. It's right there. The financials don't lie. They don't lie. Even he was quoted saying about the book. So how can you dispute that when it was even this? It was not this one. This one here. When it says it here, I'm giving the whole book so they know who I am. He's actually admitting it there. When we are going around to all places in Minnesota, other people are giving flyers. Lindell says, I'm giving them the whole book. So know who I am. So the news is accurate. He's been quoted. The financials are being shown. What more do people want? Now, like I said, draw your own conclusions. It's entirely up to you. And I know there's a lot of people that are upset and whatever. Well, this is just the beginning. There's a lot more things to get upset about. Have you seen the disgusting filth? Look, I've had to trench through all these disgusting, filthy emails to do with what Epstein and the gang happened to be all redacted. That's the problem. The problem is that we don't have any accountability at this stage. We've still got Andrew McBoughton, Sarah Ferguson, all the Rothschilds apparently, all them. Lutnick, all those that have been implicated still walking around the place. Why isn't anybody in jail yet? Why isn't anybody being perp walked, sorry. Why? That's my question. Why isn't there any justice? Especially when you have to read through this filth. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of filth. Let me read you this. This is one of them. One of the files. Did you know this photo was redacted because it's horrific? This is describing what is in that photo. That photo that's been redacted, get ready for it. Has an additional image showing part of Mike's face. Who's Mike? That's my question. So they left the word Mike, but who is Mike? We don't know who Mike is. This time visibly participating in abusing. Together, the two partial images of Mike's face may help identify him. Last year, in addition to sending images, stated that Mike told, I'm just going to read the unredacted bits, okay, that her foster mother Sheila was going to come to Israel, so Israel implicated, and would take to nice family, did not believe that would be nice at all. Now, this is where it gets disgusting. While media stories have stated Epstein and Maxwell's victims were mostly teenagers, there evidence that suggests that they are abusing or abused young girls. Now, we know Jean-Luc Brunel is no longer with us. It's disgusting, guys. Reportedly provided Epstein a birthday gift of a 12-year-old triplets. Epstein victim stated in the Netflix documentary Who Killed Jeffrey Epstein episode that when worked as a receptionist at the New York City mansion in 1995, many girls, little girls, were going in and out. A phone message slip referred to Russian lessons from 2 by 8-year-olds. And in an expose from an Australian television, said that Epstein saw girls that were younger. And younger the better. Now, the images presumably could be shown to other Epstein-Maxwell victims to see if they remembered her, whoever is in that photo. The photo, ladies and gentlemen, shows this. It shows a girl, her face is visible, but it's not visible there, who looks prepubescent, in other words, a child, with medium-length dark hair. Several Caucasian men are holding the girl's legs spread open. Her vagina is visible and gashed, and there's blood coming out in the photo's foreground. A man with a white shirt appearing to be inserting his hand or something into her vagina. A round imprinted symbol of some kind is visible on the girl's leg on the underside of her left thigh. In the photo's right-hand corner, there is an arm with a green shirt visible. An arm holds the girl's knee in the air in the photo's left foreground. There's a profile of a man with long sideburns, a beard and a small bald spot on his head. In the photo's background on the left, there appears to be unclothed top torso of a man. A man with what appears to be a black shirt, blue shirt appears to the left of the girl's face. On the photo's lower left, there is a green structure which is hard to identify. The girl's mouth looks bloody and her tongue is extended. There is a bruise under her left eye and a red mark on the left side of her neck. Her left shin is bleeding and there's purplish bruises on her abdomen. It's sickening, guys. Being a father myself, I am so sickened to my stomach. And I can't explain the amount of content that I've read through, and this is what I've been going through and digesting every single day. Now you think about it from my perspective, doing this day in and day out, and then trying to keep your sanity in check. Think about how hard that is. Digesting this information day in, day out, reading it day in, day out. Then you got to come to, shall we say, use your logic, detach emotionally, and try to put a report together so you guys don't have to go through what I have to go through. It's hard work, ladies and gentlemen. It's taxing. It's hard work. And especially, people don't realise that I only get a few hours of sleep every day. Because the amount of files that are coming through, and let me tell you something. People think that there's so many files. No. We've only hit 2%. 2% of the Epstein files, ladies and gentlemen. 2%. Let's watch this video, it'll explain it.
News investigation today reveals that all those pictures, emails, videos and messages released by the Department of Justice, said to be over 3 million pages, may amount to just a fraction of the Epstein material obtained by investigators. Why do we think that? Because these raids on Epstein's properties, his Florida mansion in 2005 and his fancy New York townhouse and sprawling luxury island in 2019, saw dozens of devices, computers, hard drives and servers bagged and tagged and brought to FBI offices for examination. Now, emails examined by Channel 4 News show investigators discussing those very devices. From the earliest stages, investigators were talking about Epstein's data totaling many, many times what has so far been released. In June 2020, one wrote, "We expect the data to be somewhere around 20 to 40 terabytes, noting that the total capacity of the devices was up to 50 terabytes. Then as recently as last year, long after the investigations into Epstein and his associates had ended, the figures quoted remained massive. We're looking at a total of approximately 14.6 terabytes of archived data, said another email. To put that in context, it is almost 15,000 gigabytes. But now, a year on from that, the total data released, claimed to be some 300 gigabytes, accounts for just 2% of the total Epstein data that officials were discussing just last year. Under the Epstein Act, DOJ attorneys had to look through all files to find any responsive material that related to Epstein, his networks and crimes. They claimed that 6 million pages had been identified, including duplicates. They released over 3 million. Both those numbers are tiny compared to the amount collected, according to today's emails.
That's only a fraction. 2%, ladies and gentlemen. Get your head around that. 2% of the files. And then we got Mr. Todd Blanche coming out and gaslighting us and saying, no, this is it. This is what we got. The review is over, really.
Number of documents, as I said on Friday, that we're waiting for a judge to say we're allowed to release because of a protective order. But there This review is over. I mean, we reviewed over 6 million pieces of paper, thousands of videos, tens of thousands of images, and which is what the statute required us to do. You know, it's interesting. Leadership on the Hill, Congressman Massey, Senator Schumer are quick to complain. There is no way they have spent any time looking at the materials we produce, because I know the materials we produced them on Friday. By Saturday, they're already complaining about what we did. And by the way, apparently Massey and others wrote a letter to come and review unredacted materials. I didn't get that letter yet. They leaked it to the press before they actually sent it to me. But yeah, that's absolutely totally fine.
Yeah, it's not totally fine. We don't accept it. 2% is not enough. And then not only that, ladies and gentlemen, we've got 2%, but we've also got the redactions to deal with. So then we've got these influencers going out there, oh, no, we're bored already. Can we move on? What, so you can move on and make your cash? So you can move on to jump on the Trump gravy train again and make more money? Because for us, we didn't sign up for this. We signed up for the children. That's what I signed up for the children, for the truth. That's what I did. And hopefully everybody here did exactly the same thing. Now, have a look at this. German countess who wanted a baby with Epstein bails on Prince of Wales cancer charity. Yeah, okay, you'd be bailing like everybody else. So do you see what I mean? So you had the Princess of Norway and then her as well, wanting to have a baby with Epstein? Royalty is involved and implicated in this like you wouldn't believe. And not only royalty, but even a Harvard professor has been implicated in the torture emails. Let's see if I can, increase the size of this, guys, so we can have a look. Have a look at this. This particular professor at Harvard University has been implicated in torture, with these torture things. So look at this. Did you torture her? That's from Jeffrey Epstein asking the professor. Our spy was captured after completing her mission. Why aren't any of these characters in some sort of prison right now? That's the least of it. The other thing, ladies and gentlemen, was Epstein was into contributing to, shall we say, charities. Now, you remember what Professor Feinstein said, or Finkelstein said, Finkelstein his name was, that they do this deliberately so they can have pull. They can have control. So there's Epstein and his financials, and these are all the entities that he would contribute to, donate to. Tribeca Film Institute, Stockholm School of Economics. So you've got a whole range, YWCA, of the US Virgin Islands. The American Cancer Society gave $1,000 there. The Ovarian Cancer Research Fund, Alzheimer's Association. He was donating to all of these entities. The breast center, that doesn't surprise me. Like I said, why do these entities donate? It's to have control. Professor Finkelstein said it. Another very interesting thing was you would have seen about this thing about, Snow White. And you know what Snow White, in the Q drop, Snow White is referring to the CIA servers. So in the CIA, the servers were named after the 7 dwarfs. That's why Q refers to it as Snow White. Right? That's all been proven. Now, the other thing is Snow White has another meaning in Epstein's world. So let me see if I can bring up that article. Now, rape allegations against ex-Barclay CEO Jess Staley. He was also mentioned in the emails. Now, he's gone out there and it says the Epstein files also show Epstein asked an unnamed individual to buy a Snow White costume weeks before the exchange of Staley on the 20th of June 2010. Brett Ratner, who happens to be, who was Brett Ratner? Wasn't the one that did Melania, the movie? You are correct. Is going to film a big movie, Snow White. So Brett Ratner, again, is implicated. Now, it'll make sense, don't worry. Let's go to the email. And it says there, we'll get it. Brett Ratner is going to film a big movie, Snow White. I would love to take photos of you in Snow White costume. You can get it from Costume Store. Then it says, got feedback from audition. Students want to film me. We'll call you tomorrow. Still in the Hamptons. Miss you. The question is that we don't have any context. Now, this email came directly from this article here to do with rape allegations against this particular entity. And we know that obviously the Barclays is to do with banking finances. Now, what was very interesting is this, that you've seen that this was mentioned in the emails, and this was emailed back in 2010. Pay attention, 2010. Now, all of a sudden, this comes out into the news cycle. Have a look at this. There are no coincidences. Disney loses 170 million woke Snow White live action flop. 170. Remove the zero. You know what we get. Right? The maths are there. The other thing, there is, let's go into the maths a little bit further. So, we've got a $170 million loss. Snow White. It was talked about in the email, just recently in the Epstein email, they released it. You think it's a coincidence? No, there are none. There's a reason for it. It's to reintroduce a narrative, and they're doing this deliberately by design. The comms are clear. Number one, 170 million. But you know that we work with mirrors. Mirrors gives us 5 of 5 comms. It gives us clear comms. Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. $170 million loss, but then the remake cost $336 million and there we go, 0.5. When we add those numbers up, ladies and gentlemen, we get another 17. 3 plus 3 equals 6 plus 6 equals 12 plus 5, 17. Again, we get the Q. We add 17 plus 17, we get 34 Q plus. Comms are crystal clear. We know that President Trump is about exposing all these entities. Let's talk about it. Without President Trump, this all wouldn't be coming out now. Have a look. Under Obama, did it come out? No. Under Clinton's? No. Under George W. Bush? No. It was all under him. Who signed the Epstein Transparency Act? Who signed it, ladies and gentlemen? It was President Trump. Do you see how you can't how can I say, you can't deny the logic. You can't deny the facts. You can't deny the crystal clear comms. And how many coincidences, as Q says, before you call it mathematically impossible. So that's why I'm saying there's no coincidence why this has come out. Then it links up, as I said, to this, the remake, and it links up to this, and who was going to be the director, the one that directed Melania, Brett Ratner, the one that was seen with Epstein in the past with the photos. How many coincidences, guys? You can't call it. It's just unbelievable, isn't it? Look at the God bumps. And you know what, guys? It's like this. There is so many weird things that are happening. Our realities are being tested. But what grounds us, and I say, is this: the facts, evidence, and receipts. That is what grounds us. Because we are living in a bizarre, strange world. Now, Q also mentions about the looking glass. The looking glass in Alice in Wonderland. The further you go, the more weird and obscure things become. Just like, the Twilight Zone's like a, shall we say, a holiday house compared to what we're in.
Even the Twilight Zone isn't this fucked up. We are ruled over by demons.
There you go. That's the reality. We are basically in some sort of weird, obscure looking glass where it's been done by design to make it uncomfortable for the mass consciousness. Because let me tell you something, people are waking up, and they're waking up in droves. And it's not about the left and the right anymore. They're all finding common ground. And you know what Q says? The children will unite humanity. And sometimes, what does Q says also in that Q drop as well? Right? About the children. We've got to go back to that. We've got to remind ourselves what we're here for. Every single day, we've got to remind ourselves it's the Great Awakening. We're living it. We are living it right now. The Great Awakening, sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. You must show them. Think about that for a moment. You must show them. What are they being shown now? The Epstein files. They've been shown, and basically they're finding the will to change. They're crossing party lines. It's not about Republicans or Democrats anymore. These are difficult truths that they're dealing with. And crimes against children unite all humanity. We are living the Great Awakening. You see this? That's what we're living. And it's all there. So this is another future proves past. Q knew this day was going to happen. And it's been happening. Now, the Epstein survivors, the horror that these people have gone through is ridiculous. Epstein survivor says women who recruited her, so remember, Rachel Chandler and many others that have been mentioned in the Q drops, they're procurers. So you think about this. They're not going to trust a man, these young girls, they're not going to trust a man. They're not going to trust a man to bring them to Epstein Island or to recruit them or procure them. They're going to trust a woman. A woman is feminine, is motherly, but then also they used younger girls to procure the young girls as well, like Rachel Chandler. Because then they build this little trust going on. Oh, Rachel wouldn't do anything bad to us. No, not at all. Rachel's got our back. Think again. Epstein survivor says women who recruited her laughed as she was sexually assaulted on the private jet. These are the demons. You want to talk about demons? These are the demons. This is evil. The Rothschilds and the Rockefellers gifted Epstein this New York City house of sin at a cut price, at a cheap price. Let's have a look. Let's roll that clip there. Just give me a quick moment. In the meantime, how about a thumbs up, guys? Great comments. Let's share this around the place. You're getting a lot of
You
great
familiar with
intel.
Stu Peters? Does that
Okay,
name-
sorry, guys. Just give me a sec. I'm just going to sort this out. Okay. Here we go. Right.
Above the staircase, a desperate bride in bronze, forever trapped in the moment she tried to flee. In the bedroom, strange furniture and even stranger energy. Hidden cameras pointed directly at the bed. And on the tables, snapshots with presidents and billionaires. Welcome to Jeffrey Epstein's mansion.
Not a very good place to be, but you could see that the ones that are the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers gift Epstein this New York City house. It's disgusting, guys. It really is. And the amount, look, when you keep reading, like I have, these emails, and you see that, you know, Elon's involved and all that, and it's like, why aren't you in jail right now? Why aren't you perp walked? Why aren't all of you in some sort of prison? At least. And then you got to see what's going on, the bigger picture. Because as this is all happening, there are other things happening in the background. People are focusing on what's going on with Epstein. But what happens is people are directing their focus there. But they're not directing their focus on what's going on in Israel, in West Bank. How they've been, while this Epstein business is blown out, in Israel, they're annexing the West Bank. Remember what President Trump said? They're not going to do it, and they're doing it. They're annexing land and taking over Judea and Samaria in West Bank. They're continuing with their bombing and all that sort of business, while people are focusing on Epstein, on Guthrie, on other things. I think it's Guthrie. Let's have a look at this other video here, ladies and gentlemen. It's about the release of the Epstein files was supposed to expose a sex trafficking ring, and instead it exposed the victims and protected the enablers. That's exactly what it did. Let's watch.
In 1996, Maria Farmer told the FBI that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell had sexually assaulted her and had also abused her teenage sister. The FBI failed to investigate. For 30 years, survivors have come forward to accuse Epstein of running a sex trafficking ring. They reported to police, testified in court, filed lawsuits. In return, the system exposed them, their names often making headlines. Meanwhile, the many people accused of conspiring with Epstein have remained hidden in the shadows. Here's how the Epstein files exposed the victims, but protected the powerful. In November 2025, the U.S. Congress passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The law was clear. Release the files, protect the victims, expose the enablers, but don't compromise any ongoing investigations or identify the victims. The Justice Department began releasing documents in December. The largest release came on January 30th. More than 3 million pages, tens of thousands of images and videos. Within hours, survivors started calling their lawyers. One email listed the names of 32 minors who were victims. Only one name was blacked out. A review by the Wall Street Journal found the full names of at least 43 victims in the files. More than 24 were minors when they were allegedly abused. Dozens of unredacted photos exposing young women's faces were posted to the Department of Justice website. One set of more than 100 images was blacked out except the very last picture, which revealed a woman's entire face. And then there were the many bank account numbers, social security numbers, dates of birth, phone numbers, and home addresses. Over 3,000 pages contained victim identifying information. After complaints, the DOJ took down 9,500 documents it had posted and flagged another 7,000 for review. The files named celebrities, billionaires, politicians, but the names of Epstein's alleged co-conspirators are redacted. A draft indictment from 2007 named 3 people who worked for Epstein as his personal assistants, allegedly helping him to recruit underage girls. Their names are blacked out following a plea deal. Emails in the files contain disturbing content, and the names of the people who wrote them are redacted. One reads, "Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty." Another said, "I loved the torture video." Both senders were kept anonymous. Who decides what gets redacted by the Trump administration's Justice Department is unclear. A blacked out name could be a perpetrator, a witness, or someone innocent. The public has no way of knowing. But one thing is certain, the victims would surely have welcomed the same anonymity.
It makes you sick to your stomach. So, in other words, the perpetrators have been blacked out, have been redacted, but the victims at one point weren't. It shows how corrupt this whole system is. It really is. And it's another future-proof past because think about it. In the past, Pamela Bondi was running as Attorney General in Florida, right where Epstein was doing his business. He had his mansion there. What's sickening is there are others. Honestly, it goes beyond sickening. Honestly, it's horrific. Look at this one here. John Brockman. From John Brockman to Jeffrey Epstein. You well? Better than well? Things are going well? No, Jeffrey. When am I going to see you? Give me a call tomorrow if you're bored at home. Happy Hanukkah. So that was from John Brockman. P.S. John Brockman continues and says, you missed the big event on Saturday. A party with a dozen of beautiful East Side girls. Well, a dozen 1-year-olds. You heard it correctly, ladies and gentlemen. A dozen 1-year-olds. 1-year-olds. One-year-old. This is what I'm saying. Do you see how this is the thing that I've been subjected to day in and day out reading this thing? And then you got to detach yourself emotionally and continue on. Because it makes you sick. It really does. Have a look at this one here. From Sarah Kay to Rich Barnett. Hi, Rich. Jeffrey is asking if you can FedEx the painting he made of the massacre of the innocents to the ranch, the Zoro Ranch, ladies and gentlemen, the one I just spoke about before. It's large 9x9 canvas that we have rolled out for him to see in the entryway where there are killing babies. He wants to use it on the ranch and he's hoping you could FedEx it to arrive by Wednesday. It's horrific. Words can't describe how I feel, guys. This is the thing. You got to maintain your composure. Deliver us your report, like I have to do. decode, go through everything, use your logical mind, but you can't help sometimes get angry. Because of the lack of transparency, because the redactions are ridiculous, the lack of accountability, and the lack of justice. And I know this has to be done. I can only think about how hard it would be for President Trump. Because, like I said, you think about it from this logical standpoint. He was the one that signed that Epstein Transparency Act. He agreed. He signed it. He's the one that brought it to the table. He brought it when Obama didn't bring it. Let's remind ourselves. Let's be honest. Sometimes you just got to take a breath, guys. You really got to take a breath, especially when you're dealing with this. And I know there's a lot of people that have been named, but just because they're being named doesn't necessarily mean, remember, they're trying to dirty the waters. We don't have context. That's the problem. We don't have context. And because we don't have context, we're not able to put anyone where they should belong. Sorry, guys, I just got to try and take a deep breath here because it can sometimes get a lot. Especially when you're seeing they're still walking around the place, Fergie. She's still walking around the place. Oh, is Fergie plotting a lucrative move to the United Arab Emirates? Well, isn't that where that sheik came from? He's from there, isn't it? Doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of filth there, ladies and gentlemen. You know, House of Sword, Triple Plus, right there, that whole area there. There's a lot of filth. Will Andrew Mountbatten Windsor become the first to go to prison? I've also heard that Congress want to bring him in. But we haven't seen any action yet. That's the issue. People are angry. They're seething. And it's not about left and right, like I said. This is where, as Q says, it all makes logical sense. Sometimes you can't tell them, you must show them, and the only way people are going to change is when they see crimes against children, and you're seeing it happen. Epstein discreet Beijing deals as Princess Andrew snapped with this young Chinese model. And yet no accountability. Andy girl flown to UK on Epstein Lolita Express. And it goes on and on and on. But still no accountability. There's too much political theatre. You got Schumer on one side blowing smoke, and on the other side you got them doing it as well. It's like we want to see accountability. And think about this. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, Charlie's going to make him look like a little, shall we say, merry-go-round because of what he's been involved with. And don't you worry, the Royals are involved in it like you wouldn't believe. Jimmy Savile, have a look at that. Over 500 children. And Jimmy Savile and Charlie were the best of friends. He was knighted by the Queen. How's anything of this okay to anybody? I don't get it. Look, Charlie's out there, he's still doing his thing. And look, people are giving it to him. It's aggravating people. It's angering people. I would say you are getting to that point now where something's got to give. Now, files released by the US Justice Department indicate that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor sought to encourage an Emirati foreign minister to do business with Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. And that's my point. And when are we going to see some justice? Then we got this character. You all know Mr. Tom Barrick, who happens to be the ambassador to Turkey. At the time, he was the ambassador, now US ambassador to Turkey. Yes. And he's been implicated. You know, you recognize him. Send photos of you and child and make me smile. That's from Epstein. And then he says, Tom retorts, hope you're good. Let's catch up. It just seems to me that like I said, the den of vipers are right there in the executive branch. They're all everywhere, right? But President Trump, friends close, enemies closer. And this is the thing, this is what's aggravating people. It's like there's no justice. And like I said, people are screaming for it. And remember when I used to say it, there will be a time, if people watch my show and been watching me for a long time, you would have heard me say this, that in the end, that people that were calling us conspiracy theorists and all these names, that they will be the very ones jumping on top of their soapboxes and demanding justice. I've been saying that for years now. So the email continues on. So I read that part. And it says, hope you're well. Photos look good. So send photos of you and child. That's from Epstein. From Epstein to Tom. Tom retorts, hope you're well. Photos look good. For your information, I receive many calls a week about both Donald, I was talking about President Trump, and Marla, beauty contest, Mar-a-Lago, and Clinton from reporters. Less so recently with Clinton, but my answers are always, I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. So in other words, he's been asked by reporters to say or to answer certain questions. And he's saying that, don't worry, Jeffrey, I've got your back. I won't say a damn thing. Or I try to ignore altogether. A few times I've been ambushed on the street with questions, but I'm more careful now. That's from Tom Barrick, the current ambassador to Turkey. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel knowing that man is out there? It looks like the guy from the Poltergeist, doesn't he? Uncanny resemblance. It's disgusting. I'm disgusted. And I think it's about time that, look, this is all happening. So think about this. It's all been out there. It's being exposed. And yet the Sultan is still walking around with him. Emirati billionaire who shared the torture video with Jeffrey Epstein went to Buckingham Palace with Prince William. But apparently now he's resigned from he's resigned. They're embarrassed. But we don't care about the resigning and their embarrassments. What we care about is justice. That's what we care about. We're fed up of the resigning and the embarrassments, the regrets. We're fed up of that business. We want to see justice. That's what we want to see. We know many have been implicated, and their redactions that are on there are still protecting those, obviously, that are, how can I say, that are really up the food chain, so to speak. And like I said, I mean, while this is all coming out there with the Epstein business, the files, 2%, think about it, only 2% of those files. 2%. That's nothing compared to the, what is it, 82%? Because you know what they're doing? They're trying to protect. Now, apparently, according to this gentleman, that on the Epstein Island, it wasn't just females that were victims, there were males. Let's have a listen. And they used Les Wexner as a way of procuring and, you know, bringing in young girls. Let's have a listen to this gentleman and his message.
I was trafficked by the former Abercrombie & Fitch CEO and a web of people who are still able to do this because people continue to act like they care but don't actually care. Regarding the Epstein files, I need you to please listen to me and listen to me for the entirety of this. Save this, share this, help me get this out there because this is important. Men and boys are absolutely included in all of this. Many of you know my story. Many people still don't know the story because it has been pushed down over and over because people don't like to understand that men and boys have always been victims in all of this as well. The person behind Abercrombie & Fitch at the height of it all, former CEO who I'm talking about, and I refuse to say his name on here because he does not get to take up space in my world anymore. The person who enabled him from the beginning was Lex Wexner. Lex Wexner is also the person who enabled from the beginning Jeffrey Epstein. As you connect more of these dots, you realize that this has been going on for a very long time, and it's still going on to some capacity because these industries, like the modeling industry, are predatory and they are a front.
It's not just about females, it's males. It's disgusting, guys. It really is. It's a disgusting state of affairs that we're in. Now, have a look at this email here, which I'll show you. Jeffrey Epstein to redacted. No context again. I'll get more info. No worry. How's the puss? I'm not talking about the cat either. I'm so confused. No, she was telling me that she is doing a movie on sex trafficking. Do you see how ridiculous, how they were laughing in our faces and mocking it? Like, remember in the Q drops, Ghislaine Maxwell was going to the New York child protection, shall we say, fundraisers, laughing at it, laughing and making a joke of it all, using the very fundraisers that run, shall we say, the child protection. They're the same ones that have been doing it. I'll show you in the Q jobs, guys. It's just, honestly, it's disgusting. Sometimes you just got to take a deep breath. No, she was telling me that she's doing a movie on sex trafficking and met a sex slave, you. She had no idea that Jeffrey the Jeffrey she was talking to, me, was Jeffrey she was talking about. I'm confused. Never talked to her about anything to do with you, but she knows redaction. A friend of a friend Skyped me because they wanted some advice. She said she was working on a sex trafficking movie. She said she met this really beautiful girl. They used to be a sex slave for a guy with a private island. She met this pilot girl at Burning Man. Pilot girl. Who was the one that flew the helicopters? It was Ghislaine. She had a helicopter's license. This Burning Man, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot more burning going on than burning, that's all satanic anyway. I asked her if she had ever met Epstein. She said no, she hadn't, and I said yes, you have, and she almost fainted. Can you believe this? And they were getting away with this right under our very faces here. Well, because we'll be too busy being entertained. State of containment, debt slavery. Thanks to our government, world leaders. Oh, I'm sick. I'm really sick of this shit. Honestly, it's disgusting. These fundraisers that good old Ghislaine went to. Let me see if I can find it. And yet there's no accountability. There's no, oh, here we go. There we go. Q drop 3431. There she is with the Rothschilds. Is that the Rothschilds? Yeah, here we go with the Rothschilds. And look at this. Attended the National Youth Orchestra. Isn't that fitting? And just to think that these entities have been involved in this filth. Here we go. This is the one I want to bring. Q drop 3428. Ghislaine Maxwell. Follow the family. UK, US 1 and 2. Umbrella surveillance. And then it says here. New York Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. Oh, they should leave it up there. They shouldn't have gotten rid of it. Shouldn't they? Why did they get rid of it? Why won't they allow this to be there? No. But you get the gist. New York City for the Prevention of Cruelty. She was there. It's disgusting. The whole thing is disgusting. And then look at this, what Epstein wrote. This is the disgusting filth that these entities are involved with. 2, so it was from someone else that's redacted, and I think it may be a female, redacted to Epstein. I only want good for you. Jeffrey, I am a clean freak. This is what I contact my doctors for every little thing. Not so many, always the same, and always with condom. We'll take a test, that always useful. I'm a bit surprised to see these messages. Then underneath, Jeffrey Epstein retorts and says, make sure you take some form of antibiotic for the pussy. Cleocin for some some such you've had many dicks in just a few weeks. You're seeing it right there. It's all there in black and white, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you've taken some form of antibiotic because you've copped it so many times. What kind of sick people are they? Oh, they're very sick. And then we got Hermes CEO says he rejected financial predator. They all seem to reject. They all seem to find some sort of excuse. There's always some damn thing to say, isn't there? Well, you have a baby with me. Glam Royal Mail's Epstein, who hooks up her with Rothschilds at WEF's Klaus Schwab. It's endless. The amount of debauchery and filth is endless. Epstein's 10-year-old girlfriend with Markle. Who's Markle? Oh, Meghan Markle. Look at this. Victim's lawyer says Meghan saw what Prince Andrew did and can testify in court. There's Meghan Markle, and this happens to be Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend, Karna Shelaik. The plot thickens. It really does. It's filthy. It's disgusting. Honestly, have a look at this. Another Epstein image, identified adult porn actress. They say that this girl happened to be just of legal age, but was styled, in other words, dressed like a child. The publicly available image taken from an adult site was censored by the DOJ for unknown reasons. So this girl happened to be of legal age, and they stylized her just so she looks like she's underage. This is the sickness of these people that we're dealing with. The problem is you got these media leaders, the media, and they're downplaying everything. Like Jesse Waters, all these media presenters out there downplaying it. You heard it. How can you downplay something like that? Unless your boss Rupert Murdoch told you to do so. Like I said, you just got to take a deep breath because it's disgusting. You're literally diving into the shit, and you got to take a deep breath before you dive into it. Like when you see that, it's like, well, where's the justice? Why is he still walking around with him? Then you got Charlie walking around the place. Look, Charlie's still walking around having a good old, jolly good old time. You know what I mean? It's disgusting. And it just goes on and on and on. The amount of filth. Now, all I'm seeing at this point is nothing but a bunch of hot air wind from these politicians. The filth is getting out there. Yes, 2%. Think about that. Only 2%. Think about the other, like I said, 98%. I think, yes, 98%. Yeah. Sorry, guys, because I've only had a couple hours sleep. You have to excuse me. 98%. It's pretty full on, guys. It really is. And it's just, it breaks your heart every day that you got to read this. Honestly, like, it really breaks my heart that I have to read this garbage day in and day out. And then there's no justice. Now, you would have seen this. The MAGA dad, apparently, that shot his daughter, and Trump won't face, what it says there, the argument over Trump, and won't face any charges. The wife won't place charges over the husband for shooting her daughter. Very interesting, that one. There's a few interesting things. Number one, she won't press any charges. It's got to do with Trump. But how much alcohol did he drink? 17 ounces, ounce carton of white wine. 17 ounce carton of white wine. Fighting over Trump. 17 ounces of ounce carton of white wine. White. And then also the wife won't press any charges. You can draw your own conclusions to that. I just find it very strange that we got the number 17 again. What is continuing on, unfortunately, is the dirtying of the waters. The false AI pictures that are going out there. Like this one. Again. That is fake. And what is this doing? Is this doing us any favors? No, it isn't. It's further dirtying the waters. It's basically discrediting the truth. And we're looking like a bunch of idiots again because of these people, not us, but we be painted with the same brush. This is fake. Image claiming to show Melania Trump kissing Epstein on the cheek isn't real. Now, Snopes, you remember it was left leaning? So realistically speaking, if they were biased, they would be going in the it's correct. They're actually telling you that it's fake. Image claiming to show Melania Trump kissing Epstein on the cheek isn't real. It's all in the spin cycle. I mean, this was published and was, that was fact checked. Sorry, that thing was fact checked back in last year in December. And here we go. We got this thing spin cycled again. Fake. When are people going to grow up? People have really got to stop this business because all it's doing, I'll tell you why they're doing it. Number one, there's entities out there that are doing it deliberately to discredit President Trump. Dirtying the waters, creating havoc, and all that sort of business. So that we can continue to be called conspiracy theorists and we can continue to be painted with the same brush. No, we're about the facts, evidence, and receipts here. We don't go by that kind of garbage. We don't go by fear porn. We don't go by hearsay. We certainly don't go by the AI slop that's out there either. Because there's so much of it now. What is fact, though, is this. Because I saw this, I was thinking, oh, here we go. Is this another AI business again? Or is this real? Because, I'm about facts, evidence, and receipts. I'm about finding the truth. And obviously this has been thrown around because people are pissed and angry and upset. And they're like, no, I'm going to throw this one out there as well. But it's true. When something is true, it can be proven to be true. When something is false, it can also be proven using the correct tools and finding the correct information to back it up. Now, let me just see. I had it here before, guys. It was... let me see. I had it all organized, guys. You know, what I did was there's so many things going on, and I'm just constantly added things to the mix, so to speak. And because of that, here it is. I found it. Right. This one here. That one is actually real. That's a picture of Prince Andrew next to Melania and Jeffrey Epstein. So this is out there. There's so much disgusting filth, it's ridiculous. But, like I said, we got to prove things to be factual, right? Well, there we go. That was in Vanity Fair. I actually found the source of that information. That photo. It was in Vanity Fair. That photo had been taken at Mar-a-Lago on February the 12th, 2000. Like I said, I'm about proving the facts, evidence, and receipts. That is fact. And I'm showing you that this is real. That came from Vanity Fair. I screenshotted that myself. Now, obviously, people are bouncing this around. They're angry. They're upset. Of course they're going to get angry. Of course they're going to get upset. There we go. There's the original article, ladies and gentlemen. This is live. I'm showing you right here. You know, I don't like pissing in anybody's pocket. And just like that, this is real as well. We can't sit there and sugarcoat things. Like I said, there are those that expect me to sugarcoat the truth. No, I don't operate that way. I call a spade where it needs to be called a spade. I bring out the truth. I'm impartial. Because that's the only way we're going to get through this is through the truth. So the government they've created a system, okay, and so they've been implementing a system that has been created. The government, the word government means to steer. Govern, steer, and ment means the mind in Latin. They don't represent the people. That's the illusion. They represent their masters. Because it's not about the left and right to them. They're all working for the same beast. They ensure that the system continues on from generation to generation, using their various mechanisms of control over humanity. Now, President Trump is exposing that. Now, think about this. Who's the one who exposed the Fed? President Trump. Who's the one who exposed the IRS? President Trump. Who's the one who exposed fake news? President Trump again. Who was the one who exposed Epstein? President Trump. What he's doing is ripping down all the black curtains. And he's showing you who the Wizard of Oz is. He's showing you how they operate, how they're able to use multiple streams of income and direct them from the taxpayer into the slush funds. That's how it is. So, like I said, the facts are the facts. You can't deny it. And I go through the facts, evidence, and receipts constantly. Because it's very important to me. Very, very important. Very important. Very fundamental. Now, what I need people to realize is that President Trump is about loyalty, and so am I. Loyalty is very important. Loyalty is fundamental. Without it, you have nothing. In any type of relationship. I want to play this video to remind people what President Trump is all about. He's about loyalty. So am I. And without it, like I said, you have nothing. That's why I've always stood by President Trump, because I know exactly what his mission's always been about. He's taking the slings and arrows, ladies and gentlemen. He's taking it every single day because he can. He has the strength. He has the know-how. He has the resources. But it takes a very special person to do what he does. I know a lot of people don't agree with me in that sense because they're angry at President Trump. Because they can't see what he's really doing. They can't see past their anger. They cannot use their logic. Like I said, you use your emotions, you're going to cloud what is true. Because, like I said, President Trump is the one to bring it down, to expose it all. He's the one that signed that Epstein Transparency Act. He's the one that used his name and trashed it, put it through the dirt, just so he can take the slings and arrows to awaken the mass consciousness. He's got the enemies close to him. Because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You can measure twice, but you cut only once. And that's what he's doing. Everything has to be, shall we say, done specifically as planned. That's why we call this the plan. Just because we want it done now, it doesn't mean it has to be done now. Because we are angry, we are frustrated, we see that there's a lack of accountability, a lack of justice, and our frustrations get the better of us. And it happens to me too, ladies and gentlemen, it does. But what we need to remember is what is on the line. Yes, people thought that pain were for the deep state only. No, it's for everybody. Because like I said, pain brings awareness. And President Trump has been bringing the pain to bring the awareness. And now you're seeing, think about it, look around you. You're seeing all the people that used to call us all these names, used to ridicule us, conspiracy theorists. We used to talk about the tunnels. Now it's out there in the Epstein files. We used to talk about all the debauchery. It's out there in the Epstein files. Everything that we used to speak about is out there. And now they're demanding justice. They're standing on their soapboxes. They're angry with President Trump because they don't know. They don't know what this man is all about. They don't know his history. They don't know his real history. The other thing is, he wasn't a saint. He's not a saint. Let's not make him out to be Jesus or be a saint, whatever. No. The question is did he partake? And that's what I'm saying. We need context. We need context. We need the redactions removed to be able to get context to see who did what. President Trump could have had the easy life. Think about this. He could have done exactly what the others done. Rorted the system, as in make all the money. I mean, people saying he's making money left, right, and centre now, but I've proven that he's lost money in his campaigns and all that sort of stuff, the money that he's lost. Been through the financials. I've done that in the previous Pulse quite a few times, actually. Now, President Trump is taking the slings and arrows. When people said he's going to take the slings and arrows from Hillary and Obama, are low-bearing fruit compared to what's out there. But what President Trump asks is one important thing. Does he have your loyalty? Because he's got mine.
That someday I'd like to maybe lose everything for a period of time to see who's loyal and who's not loyal. The world seems to be coming to an end. I mean, it just seems to be coming. And what happened is I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about other people.
Okay, but you keep saying I learned. What did you learn about yourself?
Well, I think I learned for real that I'm a pretty tough guy, because it takes a tough guy. Hey, it takes the brains and it takes the this and it takes it, but it also takes a toughness. Because to go through a period of turmoil where everything seems to be going in the wrong direction and survive it, a lot of it also, though, has to do with other people, the loyalties of other people, how you treated other people so that maybe they are loyal. When people thought I was going down, they sort of deserted me. And this is not the way it should be. And when they thought I was going down for the count, they really did desert me. I have to say, I think that, some of the people that were most loyal to me are people that I didn't think would be. Wiped the floor with the guys that weren't loyal, which I will now do, which is great. I love getting even with people, but I will. I will have wiped.
You love getting even.
Oh, absolutely. You don't believe in the eye for the eye. You do.
No.
I know you well enough. I think you do. But anyway, but
tell me. I mean, you're going to get even with some people.
Given the opportunity, I will get even with some people that were disloyal to me. I mean, I had a group of people that were disloyal.
But how do you define disloyalty?
They didn't come to my aid. I want somebody that's loyal from the beginning, not somebody that's loyal because they're afraid or because they're this or because they're that. You see, I'm so loyal to people. Maybe I'm loyal to a fault, but I'm so loyal to people that when somebody's slightly disloyal to me, I look upon it as a great act of horror. And I have a photographic memory.
Well,
that's the problem.
exactly. I mean, it raises this question, can you trust what Donald really says? Because his memory may be short.
Yeah, no.
Loyalty is very important to President Trump, and it is to me. And it should be important to all of us that are listening right now. Now, I want to say thank you to Carol. She brought something to my attention from General Flynn. Now, I haven't heard it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to hear it live together here, and then we're going to analyze exactly what is being said. But in the meantime, how about a thumbs up? Great comments. Let's share this all around the place. Let's get the message out there far and wide. Okay? We all got to do our bit. Where we go one, we go all. Okay, let's watch this video here.
My name, my other name, what do you call me? I am your father. From now on, you will call me your father. Shut up! You will call me your father. What is my name, huh?
I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. Each day I grow some more.
Wow. I've just got the God bumps right now. That came from General Flynn, ladies and gentlemen. That's John Podesta. There's some things that I've been seeing about General Flynn, which is indicating that he's been calling for the Second Amendment. He's asking for the people in the United States to rise. We'll go through that particular post on X. But let's talk about this. We've been waiting for this. So Podesta is being, obviously, General Flynn has put that out for a reason. Q drop 34. 11.3 marker to do with Mr. Podesta's announcement of his arrest. Actionable. Well, 11.3 has to do with the war manual, which is when the military stepped down. And then 11.4 is when they temporary military control. Now, 11.3, upon the arrest announcement of Mr. Podesta, actionable 11.4. This is what we want to see, is we want to see Podesta in chains. Once that happens, we're heading towards temporary military control, and this is what we've been waiting for. It's very horrific to hear that, isn't it? And I want to say thank you to Carol for bringing that to my attention. Much appreciated, love. Thank you. This is what we're dealing with. We know Podesta's connected to a lot of filth. Even his brother. We know Pete's been mentioned through the Epstein emails like you wouldn't believe. Many, many times. Pizza, grape soda, all this sort of business. It's all to do with pedophilia. We know what the FBI codes are. We've been through that. The butterfly, all the squiggly lines, all that business. Now the people that used to call us conspiracy theorists, that's what we're hearing right now, is the crickets from them. They need to obviously get with it. They can see the dark world of Epstein, but then also they don't realize, this is the thing. People think about Epstein being the dirty pedophile that did it all, and no, they don't realize that their leaders have been implicated. Their stars that they used to worship, listen to their music, watch on the TV, are all implicated. They don't realise that. Sorry, the shock to the system is coming. When those redactions get removed and then we're able to put some context, then you watch what's going to happen. You think they were jumping on their soapboxes now? They're going to be jumping on it and hitting the streets and demanding justice. Now, Q tells us that there's going to be 20%. 80% was done in the dark. And 20% is left for justice. Well, let's see. When are we going to get to this justice phase? Well, at the moment, have a look. The dark represents all the redacted business. 80% dark. Does that mean 80% of the documents, 80% of the all black marks? dark to light can also represent the reductions being removed. When the reductions are on, it's dark. When they're removed, the light, it's removed. You can see the light represents the truth. The light represents the facts. QJOP 4921. A dark world is being exposed. The truth won't be for everyone. The truth will not be for everyone. Have faith in humanity. Now think about that. Have faith in humanity. What does that mean? It's exactly what's going on right now. People are angry from left to right. It doesn't matter. They're joined forces. It's about the children. Crimes against children will unite humanity. And now, when they take off the reductions, they have to take it off as per the Epstein Transparency Act that was signed by President Trump. Otherwise, they're going against the law. But they're showing how corrupt the DOJ, the FBI, all the three-letter agencies, how corrupt they are. How corrupt the executive branch is. How corrupt the legislative branch. How corrupt the judicial branch. How they've all failed. Now you think about that. People are getting angry. They want to see those reductions removed. When those reductions get removed, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to the seam of your pants because things are going to get a lot more hairy. A lot more full on. That's why this Q drop is so relevant. Have faith in humanity. Have faith that these people, once the truth is revealed, the truth that we've always known is revealed, when dark comes out to light, the reductions represent the dark. The light represents the truth, the facts. That's when humanity is going to do its bit. Now have a look at what's going on. President Trump is bringing over to the Middle East the biggest aircraft carrier, which is the USS Gerald R. Ford, to back up the Armada, the USS Abraham Lincoln. That costs a lot of money to do, a lot of resources to bring that from point A to point B over in the Middle East. He's not going there to sit there and continue on with negotiations and peace deals. Mark my words, ladies and gentlemen. He is going over there to bring down the business. That's what he's doing. Now remember, Middle East. The Middle East, House of Sword, triple plus. You think they're not involved? The Arab League, all of them, they're involved. Israel involved. Remember, we went to the top of the food chain. They're all involved. It's going to be a very interesting state of affairs to see how this is all going to translate. Because I'll tell you one thing that Q says that makes all the world of sense, because the Middle East is where Israel is. And what are we waiting? What does Q say in the Q drops about Israel? Not mentioned a single time. In other words, we are saving Israel for last. Very specific reason, not mentioned a single time. Q. Serious business. He's going there to do some serious business. He's not wasting all that money, millions and millions of dollars, to allocate those resources over there for no reason. Saving Israel for last. For last. they're trying to put in Rezi Pahlavi. Did you see that? The campaign, they're thinking that President Trump is going to go all the way there, bring all those resources there just to install that stooge over here, which we know, I've spoken about him, how corrupt he is, how corrupt his father was, and their regime. No. You see how the mainstream media work, how the Zionists work. They want to install him, their puppet, the one they got their hand firmly up their bum, his bum, and they can control. Just like every other situation. When it came to Saddam Hussein, he didn't want to play ball and put a reserve bank on there, did he? He created his own currency. So then they got to come up with something, didn't they? The weapons of mass destruction. Now, who came up with that business? It was Netanyahu that convinced Congress to go to war. Weapons of mass destruction. Well, the weapons of mass destruction have always been in Israel, haven't they? Don't look over here, look over there. The oldest trick in the playbook. Netanyahu has been doing it for years upon years upon years, and he's still doing it. Oh, they got the weapons of mass destruction, and they didn't. It's a future-proofed past again. That's why saving Israel for last, because they have been behind. And I'm not meaning the people. Nothing to do with the people. It's got to do with the ones that run the show. Right up the top. This has to come to some sort of end. And let me tell you something. It's going to be scary. You know what Q says about a scare necessary event. And that also know that they're in control. Know that they've got this. Q drop 521. Very important drop, ladies and gentlemen. Very relevant. We are fighting for life. We are fighting for good. We are at war. Not everything will be clean. Scare necessary event. Do you trust the US military? Do you trust the chain of command? Have faith. We are in control. Have faith. Because you were chosen for a reason. You know this. As digital warriors, we're all being chosen for a reason. To fight the battle. You are being provided the highest level of intelligence to ever be dropped publicly in the history of the world. Use it. So what you know, ladies and gentlemen, the time will come where you will know what's going on. You know what's going on anyway. But there'll be those around you that will be losing their minds. They'll be getting emotional. They'll be entertaining the worst fears. The devil's workshop will be running overtime. And what we need to do is to use what we know, our knowledge. This is where we, as captains, we need to weather the storm. And we need to use our logic to protect and comfort those around us. Where we go one, we go all. We're all in this together. Never forget that. I was thinking about this the other day. And I said to my daughter, because my daughter, she's very intuitive. She has empathic abilities. And I said, you know what? I said, I don't believe in coincidences, and neither should any one of us. Nothing is by coincidence, it's by God's design. You're brought here for a reason. You know that our lives, our entire lives, like, with me, I used to walk around. When at work, at lunchtime, I would walk around. And I would know, and I would say to myself, in my own knowing, that there's definitely something wrong with this world. We're not meant to live in this debt slavery. And I would contemplate what they've done, how they've done it, all these sort of things. I've had a knowing. Always used to say it. And this is why I've come to a conclusion, is that our lives, everything that we've experienced, everything that we are today is because of, it's like we've had to go through all this to get to where we are right now, to get the strength that we need. Because it takes a lot of inner strength and inner courage to do what we're doing. The war is fought on many fronts. We are living in the world of digital technology. The war of the mind, ladies and gentlemen. Digital technology is the war of the mind. That is, when you're on the battlefield, you can shoot your enemy, you know who your enemy is. But when you're dealing with the war of the mind, psyops, it's that much worse. Because psychological scars don't heal. That's their theme, you know what I mean? What they're saying. But getting back to what I was saying. God is utilizing our inner strength. This is a spiritual war that we're in. We're literally in a spiritual war. God is drawing on his warrior's strength, and through us, remember, God works through us. Our Creator works through us. We have God within each and every one of us. And God is drawing on our strength so we can defeat evil. We can defeat the darkness. That's why a lot of people, and this is the thing I'm thinking to myself, is it just me? But I've spoken to a lot of people and they feel the same way. It's like they can't explain it, but they're constantly feeling fatigued, drained. Yes, emotionally, they feel all over the place. They're angry. Oh, yes, people are angry. They're tired. They're fatigued. I mean, think about it. We're living in a digital battleground and they're being constantly bombarded with all this information. When Bibi Netanyahu said that this is the new battleground, I knew exactly what that meant. I've known this anyway. And they've been using social media as a weapon. The mainstream media, they surpassed the mainstream media. Social media, forget it. They're past mainstream media. Because you know what it is? There's so many of these influencers that are out there that are dirtying the waters, that is creating so much division, creating so much anger and hatred, and just making it about the left and the right and the left, the black and the white, the this and the that. Keeping us in a state of, shall we say, negative flux and fighting amongst each other instead of realizing who the real enemy is. We're in psychological warfare. We've been inundated with news, information every single day to the point of being fatigued, exhausted. Even our children are feeling it because they are constantly on social media. We are living in very unique, uncertain, and difficult times to what our ancestors were. Because this digital battleground, like I said, has a lot of psychological manipulation. And that's where you need to, that's why I say facts, evidence, and receipts. Go by the facts, evidence, and receipts. I know the truth hurts. And sometimes it's like, I don't want to know it because it hurts so much. It hurts so much to the people that we admired, the people that we looked up to, are now being shown as to what they're really all been about enriching themselves and about them and not about the people. But it's always been about their own benefit. And it hurts. I know it hurts people. I know it hurts when you're shown things and it's like you don't know what to believe anymore because we are living in a world, this is the other part, artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, before we used to see something and then you could say, yeah, I believe it. Now you see something and you question it. Is it real or not? And the problem is, as President Trump has given us warnings in the past, I'll never forget. AI is dangerous, you would say. AI is so dangerous because you won't be able to tell reality from what is real and what is fake. And that's where we're getting it. What we need to rely upon, ladies and gentlemen, is our intuition. Really listen to it. Use the tools to be able to distinguish what is fact and what is fiction that we have available. Everything you read, do your research on. The problem is, and as we showed you on the show that we did with Dee yesterday, which is the fall of the deception. And we showed you the truth, right? So we showed you the truth. We showed you that Cynthia, from the fall of the cabal, is even backing up Harvey Epinard's work. Can you still believe that even though we showed you the truth, that we still had these dumb idiots downvote us? And yet we're trying to help people. We're trying to help them. But you know what it is? They don't want to be helped. They want to continue believing in the garbage of the QFS. They still want to continue believing in the garbage that they're being peddled. So what do? They go in there and they sow the seeds of discord by doing these things. But they are the few. My point is this. There are those that you can't help. They're failed help. They refuse to wake up, even as Q says. You show them the facts, they're not going to wake up. You can have all the facts, evidence, and receipts. Like I showed you before about Mike Lindell. And I said, draw your own conclusions, but I showed you the facts, evidence, and receipts. But because people still love Mike Lindell, they love his story of redemption, that they can't see past it. They can't see what is factual, what can be proven. But instead they run with their emotions rather than their logic. And they say, well, they go after the messenger, me, where I'm the one that is trying to help people with my team, and yet We still cop it. Work that one out. Work that one out when you try to do things with such decorum, such respect, such consideration. And you show them the facts, evidence, and receipts, and yet you still get it. Because of the fact that people don't want to believe the truth. And that's just an example. There's so many of these examples, ladies and gentlemen. So what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to tiptoe on eggshells? Oh, I better not show them this. Think about this. If I was like the others that think about being popular and not rocking the boat because sponsors won't sponsor me and all that kind of crap, right? And then people will stop following me and I could get deboosted and worry about all the crap that goes along with it, right? Because that's all they care about is about themselves. They don't care about the truth. Whereas with me, the truth always comes first. The truth always matters. I'm not going to continue to support somebody once information, facts, evidence, and receipts comes to light. That cannot be disputed. But like I said, it's entirely up to you what you take from it and what you do with it. We can't sit there and hold everybody's hands and sing Kumbaya and expect everything to be fine. We need to be warriors. We are digital warriors because we are in a digital battleground. This is a battleground nonetheless. People need to take it seriously. It's not a computer game. We're not living Minecraft, right? I'm not here for entertainment purposes only, just like the others. You go to their website and they've got all the garbage in the world, like we showed you yesterday on the fall of the deception. And we went through the websites and we showed you at the end, just so they can cover their behinds on their disclaimer, for entertainment purposes only. Are you entertained? I thought we're here for the truth. And that's the thing, nobody bothers to read their fine print on the bottom of their website that states it. That's the ridiculousness. Are you being entertained? Joe Rogan entertains you? Oh, yes. Mr. Rogan. Have a look at this one. The New Yorker, look at this. Joe Rogan profits from his influence by disclaims, right? But disclaims responsibility for it. So he says this, I talk shit for a living. That's what he says. I talk shit for a living. Yet these people believe everything that man says. He's telling you he talks shit for a living. He said during a stand-up set, if you're taking vaccine advice from me, is that really my fault? For entertainment purposes only. Because I talk shit for a living, that's what he says. Well, I don't talk shit for a living, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not doing this for entertainment purposes only. My intentions have been nothing but honourable, nothing but truthful, and showing you everything with the facts, evidence, and receipts, and not just somebody, blah, 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 and nothing to show. Like many other influencers out there. I'm not an influencer, I'm an empowerer. They just say things and people take it as axiom. Like they believe it. The road is pink out there. It's pink because Joe Rogan says it's pink. For entertainment purposes only. As he says, he talks shit for a living, and so many others do. So are you done with dealing with these others that you watch that they say, oh, I'm doing this for entertainment purposes only, and then they've got nothing to show for whatever they talk about, no hard facts, evidence and receipts, and people take it as axiom. And then they say, oh, I blame it on Q because it was in the... No, it's not in the Q drops. They blur the lines, like I said yesterday on the show, like we said. What do? They say something that's factual and say something, or they add the fictitious claims to it. And then they dirty the waters. And then people believe the fiction and the fact together. They can't distinguish between the two. That's the problem. People really got to stop enabling these people. You need to make a difference, because at the end of the day, they don't have your best interest. Because let me tell you something, when push comes to shove, when the shit hits the fan, let's see who sticks around. Are they going to stick around for entertainment purposes only, or they're going to try and work out a way to piss off with their plunder like they are right now? Because I know that thing that we did yesterday did a huge dent, because we got the backing of Cynthia from the fall of the cabal that is put out there that Harvey Epinard's work is the real work. It's out there now. And they don't like it. That's okay. You'll get over it, and it's time for you to go. You know what I mean? That's what I believe. It's time for them to go, because these entities out there, they've been going out there and they've been dirtying the waters and creating problems rather than working together on a solution. And they continue. That's the thing. I don't get it. How they can continue to lie to them. I couldn't do it. How they continue to lie to people straight in their faces about the QFS, about the fake Nasara business, about the RV, which has been proven to be a scam that has been kicked up. The can has been kicked up that road so many times. The can's got so many dents in it. The XRP business being backed by gold, the XRP token being backed by gold is false. I've even brought the facts and some receipts to the developer. I was showing you what the developer said, that it's not possible for the XRP token to be able to have that connection to gold, not the token. And so many other things. Where's the Q phones, by the way? You know, there's people out there, this is what I don't get. There are people out there that they're still waiting for these Q phones. That they're still, no, my phone's about to fall to bits, but I'm going to still wait for my Q phone. We're still waiting. How long are you going to keep waiting for? How long are you going to keep waiting for the pot of gold you've been promised at the end of the rainbow? How long? Did you, because I remember when I went marching on the streets against the poison, against the filth, for the children, to protect the children, I didn't have in my mind about all the other crap that these others push out there. But you know what? We all got to do our bit. We all got to say enough is enough. We've got to stand by what's true, and we've got to stop enabling these cast of characters. The sooner people stop enabling them, stop watching them, the sooner they're gonna leave. So anyway, hopefully you got a lot out of tonight's show. There's a lot more. There's a lot more, ladies and gentlemen. Believe me, there's a lot more. I can keep reading emails till the proverbial cows come home. but there's no justice. What's the point? We keep reading the same thing over and over again. The disgusting filth that these, not just Epstein, I'm talking about all of them, have committed. We can keep reading about the disgusting filth, all the things that they've done, till we're blue in the face. And getting ourselves more angry, and getting ourselves more hurt, and getting ourselves more worked up. We need to see those names unredacted. Until that happens, we don't have context. We don't have accountability. We don't have any form of justice. And like I said, I could keep reading you email after email after email after file after this, after that. But that doesn't, it's not going to change anything. That's the thing. It's not going to change a damn thing. Because all it's doing is, yes, people are getting angry. People are feeling like, what's the point? There's no justice. There's no accountability. People are fatigued. And it's like, well, you know what? We need to dig in deep. Like we've never dug in deep before. And to gain that inner strength, we need to bring it over the line. You need to connect to Source, connect to God, ask Him to give you the courage and the strength and the sight to see the truth. You're going to need it. We're all going to need it. And like I said, things are just going to get more and more out there. Now there's 2%. 2%. What about the other 98? They can keep flooding and flooding and flooding and flooding. But if we keep seeing those black squares, black rectangles, what can we do? Read incomplete information that you can't have any context, and to be able to tie people in, to hold them accountable. That's the frustration. And that's where what I have to deal with every day, because like I said, I go through all these files. I could read them non-stop. He said this, she said that, that said this said that, but it doesn't make a damn difference unless we have context, unless those redactions are removed, unless we see some accountability and justice. It doesn't mean a damn thing. All we're going to do is get more frustrated and angry because, and look, it's been done by design, because I can tell you out there, a lot of people hate Trump. A lot. And not just President Trump. They hate that whole administration. They're calling it the worst and corrupt. And they're making out Obama to be some sort of, like angel. So at this moment, what's happening is that you're seeing that, okay, left and right, right and left, there's still this thing going on. This virtual punch on, if you will, between both sides. Then you got ones that they're joined up and it's about the children. But at this moment, what we're dealing with here is a lot of fragmented people. because they're fed up of the excuses. They're fed up of being gaslit. They're fed up of the mainstream media gaslighting and, picking a side, right or left and right, making it about politics. Then you've got the political theatre that's taking place. So people are pissed off and angry about that. Then you've got other things that have been thrown into the mixture, as in the artificial intelligence slop, that is further creating confusion and division. Then you got more of these redacted emails coming through. Look, this one just came in. All right, let's have a read of this one. I will be in New York, so this is and we don't even know who it's from. We don't know who it's from. That's the problem. This is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know who this is from. I will be in New York on Wednesday, Thursday. Get some sleep. They're supposed to protect the victims, not the predators, not the pedophiles, not the instigators. They're supposed to protect the victims. That is the law, not the others. What it's doing is further frustrating, and it's showing people that how corrupt everything is. I'm still out at the club, The Box. I'm sure you know it. They have these sex shows. There was one with a guy with fake boobs, and he was sucking a bottle in his ass and then licking it and then throwing blood and teeth out of his mouth. It was so horrible. Why did they redact the name when it's not the victim? Everything they do is just to protect, and this is what I'm saying. This is why people are further getting angry, further getting upset. Then you got you got General Flynn. General Flynn is playing an angle. Let's have a look at one of his posts on X. The Epstein affair, like it or not, this is how I see it. Okay, let's have a listen to what General Flynn has to say. The Epstein affair, long the subject of being a sophisticated intelligence operation designed to compromise global elites through blackmail. Right, sophisticated intelligence operation. We know who it is, the Mossad. Why didn't you just say it? He knows it. If we know it, he knows it. Grotesque, demonic, pure evil, honey traps. We know what honey traps are. There's many of them. Honey traps. CIA were running the one at Playboy Mansion. Hugh Hefner was their little puppet. In order to control what they do and how they behave, now appears to be another conspiracy theory turned true. So please stop telling me and everyone else in the nation to move along and nothing to see here. Well, he should tell that to Jesse Waters. He should tell that to Laura Loomer. He should tell it to all of them, and specifically to them. And our intelligence community, via our certain intelligence agency, is clearly implicated along with the counterparts in other nations. It involves the world for all what this is about. This affair is about clear sexual abuse of children, murder, rape, mutilation, other weird psycho shit behavior by people who clearly believe they are untouchable. Well, they have a look at what's going on. They all look untouchable at this point. The overwhelming evidence and more to come out also paints a horrific picture that Epstein did not do this, did not act alone. We know this, General Flynn. We know this. We've known this for many years now. Obviously, General Flynn is trying to rile up new people. He's trying to rile up new people and get them to fight with us. He was critical. He was a critical node in the dark web of predatory intelligence activities aimed at compromising the global elites, and many were easy prey because of their sick existing proclivities for child and other human and non-human sacrifice, non-human. We can call that animals, or we can call it something else. Nothing surprised me because it's all demonic anyway. It is impossible without even more transparency. That is my point, General Flynn. That is my point. The point is there is no transparency, and without those redactions being removed, we're not going to get any. To determine the full scale, the scope of the compromise in every world leader compromise is every world leader. Well, how about you remove those redactions and show us? Doubtful, but controlling the world takes a lot of effort. And that is the ultimate goal of Satan. And we know Satan is an ideology, or whichever of this elite club wears that hat currently someone does. All of this madness and moral depravity highlights how influence and espionage often blur in elite circles. But when they want to get you, they will, when they want to get you, they will, unless you understand what they're doing and are able to stand against it, I have said in warfare, a commander should never state a red line. It gives away option, and an enemy will exploit it, obviously, and that is true in the annals of warfare. However, in life, a red line, and my personal red line for humanity, must be to protect the children at all costs. That's what we've been about, General Flynn. It's never been about the money and the sponsorships and sell and all that garbage out there. It's been about the children for me from day one. From those who commit grotesque criminal acts against them. It's time for good men and women, at least in the United States. Now think about what he's saying here. At least in the United States, he's saying Second Amendment. Specifically, at least in the United States, to stand against this abuse of children, we must. This is a declaration for the Second Amendment. This is what I'm saying, at least in the United States. Second Amendment, United States, to stand against the abuse of children. How are people going to stand against the abuse of children? Second Amendment gives you the right to bear arms. What does the Bible say about place? What have I said, ladies and gentlemen? What did I say before? And you've been hearing me say this quite a few times about the millstone around someone's neck. There you go. General Flynn even said it. I would say that General Flynn is calling for the Second Amendment. And as he says, it's not about left and right. It never has been. But according to this man, Mr. Tom McDonald, he goes around singing his crappy songs like the others, like Kid Rock and the gang. Pray for the left. No. Why don't you go and pray for the right while you're at it, Mr. McDonald? Okay? Because they need to be prayed for as well, especially when they've been praying with an E in the middle on the children. Do you see what I mean? How they use these influencers in music to create further division, like that character over here. It's not about the left and the right. It's about the children. He's making it about the left. Oh, it's the left, really. Well, we know the guardians of the pedophiles, we know. Good old, grand old party. We need to stop enabling these characters. The ones that make it about the left, the right, the left, the right. Get rid of them all. There is much bigger things at stake. Number one, the children. Even General Flynn has said it. The children. It's also about our true freedom. How can we continue on having these satanic pieces of shit run the show like that? How? This has to change. And like I've said, and you've heard me say it, sometimes you've got to make a mess to get clean on the end. So you've got to make the mess first, and that's what President Trump has done. Everything is all over the place. Everything is all over the place, but everything that was in the dark, in the corners, in the recesses, has been thrown out. It's like a huge mess so everyone can see. The stage will come where we'll have the clean-up process. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that, like I said, everything's a mess.
Even the Twilight Zone isn't this fucked up. We are ruled over by demons.
Right? President Trump has exposed it. This whole great awakening, this whole thing would not be happening because of President Trump has been behind it. He's been working with Macy. He's been working with MTG. He's been working with everybody because they can take it for the team. This is all coordinated, and this is part of the Great Awakening. In other words, to awaken the masses. Once again, Q drop 4908 rings so true. Again, sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. You must show them. And they've been shown. Only then people will find the will to change. Crimes against children unite all humanity, and it's not about left and right or Republicans or Democrats or so forth and so forth. They will cross party lines because of these difficult truths that are being revealed. And it's all necessary. What is happening right now, this pain is all necessary because, as Q says, pain brings awareness. We need to tap into our inner warrior, ladies and gentlemen, like never, ever before. Every day, you've got to take every day as a battle. Every day, you take it as it comes. The power is in the now, time, space. People worry about the future. Let the future take care of itself. Focus in the now, time, space. Don't waste your energy focusing on the future. You're going to create more anxiety for yourself, more fear, more doubt. If you focus on the past and in the state of regret, that's where you will remain. You need to take each day as it comes, like I do. Each day is a battle for me. Each day I see, oh, what am I going to deal with today? What is going to come our way today? What is going to happen today in the now time space? And then I deal with it. Because if I'm going to sit there and worry about the what if scenarios like these others that sit there and they talk about what if this and what if that and what if, guess what? You're going to become a basket case. And for some reason, people are attracted to these what if scenarios. They just like to, it's like they love aggravating themselves, keeping themselves in a state of fear, a state of doubt, allowing the devil's workshop to operate. I don't get it. Why do you want to be in that headspace? Why do you want to continue to be in a state of fear? I don't get it. That's beyond me. But you know what? Each to their own. If you love to be in fear, go right ahead. Knock yourself out. There's plenty of it out there. If you want to be in a state of doubt, there's plenty of that as well. But it's where you choose to focus on. So when you think of something, think of it as the seeds of creation. Thought is seeds. Whatever you think about comes about. No matter what it is, negative or positive, that's entirely up to you. What you choose to put in your Garden of Eden, that is, God has given the power of creation to you. We are creators because we have the Creator within each and every one of us. And God works through each and every one of us. And that's why I say it's very important to look after your body temple, because it houses God inside of you. That's also in Scripture. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. They want to think about the worst things, and then they try to project it on you because they want you to feel the same way they do to bring you down. Because that's the insecurity of others. You don't allow it. They want to believe in entertain the worst fears, go right ahead. But don't allow that to enter your reality. What you need to focus on is the solution. People are too busy focusing on the problem. Always focusing on, oh, this is a problem, that's a problem, this is an issue, that's an issue. Focus on the solution. What can we do to improve things? Always be open to new things as far as knowledge, but true knowledge. That's the only way forward. As Q says, knowledge is power. And knowledge gives us power because when you know and you use logic, you are empowered. Because you don't allow fear to enter your mind. You don't allow the devil's workshop to operate in your head. You don't listen to the opinion, because everyone's got an opinion, like they got an arsehole. Some smellier than others. Just because they say that about you or try to project their reality on you doesn't make it to be your reality. It doesn't have to be. And it doesn't have to be. Their opinion of you shouldn't matter. You know in your heart who you are. You know God has put you here for a reason. And you know that your works are all works of God and goodness. You feel it within you. So therefore, it doesn't matter what they think of you, their opinion of you. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's what you think of yourself. And like I said, you connect to God, you connect to source, whatever. The label is irrelevant. Having that knowing is going to empower you, and you're going to be able to push through and be the warrior that you're meant to be. Because we're all warriors. Regardless whether we're on the digital battleground or out on the battleground, we are all warriors. Because we are dealing with the worst onslaught, which is the weapons against the mind. And that's why I say it's very important to strengthen your mind and don't allow negative thoughts in there. Do a lot of mental gymnastics. Do things to stimulate your mind. It's like this. You go to the gym, you do exercise, you increase muscle mass. You've got to do the same thing when it comes to your mind. You need to do mental gymnastics, and you need to do your research. Very important. People want to know, oh, give me the 5-second lowdown. No. If they're going to tell you, sorry, I've only got 20 seconds or a minute, you've got to tell me everything within that. No, this is not a TikTok video. This is an investment in yourself, in your being, in increasing your knowledge. You can't put money on that. You can't. You can't put money on what people have gained in this platform. The amount of empowerment, knowledge that people have received on this platform is phenomenal. And I want to say thank you to all of you for your support, your unwavering support. I want to say thank you to Carol, thank you to Soren, thank you to all of you. Please, if you can donate, it goes towards increasing our, the equipment that we have here to produce a better, more, shall we say, professional format. We're always looking at improving things. We're going to look at improving websites and all that sort of stuff, but we need your help. And I want to say thank you to those that have donated. Okay, we don't get enough, guys. I'll be honest. We don't get enough. But what we do get, it goes to the expenses, because everything here has an expense to operate, right? So even being on this thing costs money. The resources, access to news, all that sort of thing, subscriptions to be able to see certain news articles and gather resources and documents and all that, it all costs money. So I want to say thank you to all of you. If you like and you would like to donate, you can scan this QR code, or you can go to our link tree, okay, and you can contribute there. And then also, please join our platform. It doesn't cost a cent, okay? It doesn't cost a red cent. And then also, okay, thumbs up, great comments, to share this around the place, because the elements that we're dealing with here are beyond evil. BlackRock, Vanguard, all them, they all run the show here as far as the social media platforms. Right up the top, they run them all. So we got to do things grassroots. We got to get the message out there, and we all got to do our bit. So anyway, thank you very much for tuning into the Freedom Channel broadcast with yours truly, FCB. Until next time, God bless you all. And remember, okay, don't give up. Don't give in. Use your intuition and question everything. Thank you.